Let me ask you something. Have you ever woken up, stared at the ceiling and thought, is this it? Is this all there is? Because if you have, congratulations. That moment of quiet frustration, that spark of discontent, it's not the end. It's the beginning. The beginning of something powerful. The beginning of purpose. Now hear me clearly. Without a sense of purpose, life becomes routine, repetitive, robotic. You go to work, you come home, you pay the bills, and somewhere along the way you forget why you started in the first place. But with purpose, oh, now we're talking. Purpose gives you power. Purpose gives you clarity. Purpose makes the difference between just existing and truly living. And I'll tell you something I've learned after years of observation and experience. People without purpose chase pleasure, but people with purpose, they build legacies. You see, you don't need a perfect plan. You need a powerful why. A reason strong enough to make you leap out of bed. A reason deep enough to get you through the tough times. And a reason big enough to serve more than just yourself. So in this video, we're not just going to talk about motivation that comes and goes. We're going to uncover the real reason why some people rise while others settle. The real secret behind discipline, drive, and long-term success. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's purpose. So if you're tired of drifting, if you're done being average, if you're ready to feel fully alive again, then keep listening. Because when you find your purpose, you find your power. Purpose is the engine. Without it, you stall. Let me start with a truth that has stood the test of time. If the purpose is strong enough, the how gets easy. That's what I learned early in life. And it's a truth I've passed on for decades. Now you may ask, Jim, what exactly is purpose? Purpose is the engine. The thing that gets you out of bed when everything in you says stay under the covers. Purpose is the fire in your belly, the sparkle in your eye, the firmness in your handshake. Without it, you stall, you coast, you drift, you exist, but you don't live. Let me put it this way. A car can have a fine paint job, leather seats, polished chrome, and a stereo that plays your favorite song. But without an engine, it doesn't move. It sits in the driveway, looks good, but goes nowhere. Now think about that. How many people do you know who look the part, talk the part, maybe even dress the part, but aren't going anywhere? They've got all the tools, all the talent, but no direction, no fuel, no reason to move forward. Why? Because they've never defined their purpose. You see, when you have a purpose, a strong, crystal clear reason for what you're doing, you don't need to be pushed, you get pulled. And that pull is powerful. When I was 25, I met a man who changed my life. He asked me a question no one had ever asked me before. He said, "Young man, what's your reason?" I said, "My reason for what?" He said, "Exactly." That hit me. Because up until then, I was just drifting, working a job, making a little money, spending it all, but no mission, no direction, no purpose. And that's where many people find themselves. Busy, but not productive. Active, but not advancing. Always moving, but not going anywhere. Let me tell you, activity doesn't equal achievement. And if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, burnout is inevitable. Not because the work is hard, but because the heart isn't in it. Now when you do discover your purpose, everything changes. The hours get long, but the days get short. The challenges get tough, but you get tougher. The road gets steep, but your resolve gets stronger. Purpose transforms suffering into sacrifice. And there's a big difference. Suffering is what happens when you work without a reason. Sacrifice is what happens when you know it's worth it. Let me share a quick story. I met a man years ago who had a small cleaning business. Now that doesn't sound glamorous, right? But you should have seen this guy. His eyes lit up when he talked about his work. I said, "How do you stay so motivated?" He said, "Jim, I don't just clean buildings. I create environments where people feel proud to walk in every morning. I make places shine so people feel inspired." Now that's purpose. That man was pushing a mop, but with the heart of a visionary. And here's the lesson. It's not what you do. It's why you do it. Purpose gives meaning to the mundane. Purpose gives weight to your work. Purpose makes even the smallest task feel significant. Now don't misunderstand me. Purpose doesn't mean you'll always be excited. Some days are hard. Some days you won't feel like it. But purpose gives you a reason to keep going, even when motivation fades. Motivation is like a spark. Purpose is like a furnace. One lights up quickly. The other keeps burning. So here's the big question I want you to wrestle with. What's your engine? What's the thing that fuels you, drives you, compels you to act? Is it your family? Is it your legacy? Is it the impact you want to make? Whatever it is, find it, write it down, etch it into your routine, because without it, you'll find yourself tired and empty. But with it, you'll surprise yourself. You'll go farther than you thought possible. You'll wake up with anticipation, not anxiety. You'll live with clarity instead of confusion. And one more thing, don't borrow someone else's purpose. Find your own, custom-built, tailor-made, a purpose that fits your story, your gifts, your mission. Because when you find your purpose, not just any purpose, it won't feel like work anymore. It'll feel like destiny. So my friend, let this be the beginning. Don't just upgrade your schedule, upgrade your reason. Because purpose is the engine. And once you've got that engine running, there's no limit to where you can go. Find a purpose that pulls you, not one you push. Now let's talk about the kind of purpose that really works. The kind that pulls you forward. Because I've seen something happen time and again. And maybe you've seen it too, people chasing dreams that exhaust them instead of energize them. They're pushing and pushing, dragging themselves through the mud. They try to fake enthusiasm. They fake commitment. But deep down, they're burned out, bored, and broken. Why? Because they're pushing a purpose that doesn't belong to them. It's not aligned. It's not authentic. It's something they think they should want, not something they truly do want. Let me give it to you straight. If your purpose doesn't pull you, you haven't found it yet. See, a real purpose, the right purpose, it doesn't need constant motivation. You don't have to drag yourself out of bed in the morning when you're pulled by something bigger. You don't need 10 alarms and a motivational playlist just to start your day. You wake up with a little fire in your soul. You're drawn toward your work, not repelled by it. You can't not do it. That's the sign. The right purpose pulls you through problems. It pulls you past fear. It pulls you over obstacles and into opportunity. It pulls you. Now, how do you know if your purpose is real, if it's yours? Well, here's a good place to start. Ask yourself, would I still pursue this if nobody was watching? If there were no likes, no followers, no applause, would it still matter to you? That's a test worth taking, because a real purpose comes from within. It's not about proving something. It's about becoming someone. It's not about being impressive. It's about being impactful. Let me tell you a story. I once met a man who was making a lot of money, corporate job, nice office, fancy title, but he looked miserable, always tired, always tense, always waiting for Friday. So I asked him, why do you keep doing it? He said, because I have to. I said, that's not purpose. That's pressure. You see the difference? Pressure will wear you down. Purpose will lift you up. Pressure comes from the outside. Purpose rises from the inside. Now listen. I'm not saying everything about your purpose will be easy. No. Some days will be long. Some seasons will be rough. But here's the difference. When the work is hard, your purpose reminds you why it's worth it. When it pulls you, you find strength you didn't know you had. You find focus when others are distracted. You find courage when the crowd turns back. Let me ask you, what's the vision that pulls you forward? What's the thing you keep thinking about, even when you try to ignore it? What's the work you do even if you weren't getting paid? Because it just feels right, that's your clue. That's your compass. And once you find it, protect it. Because the world will try to push you in every direction but your own. It'll hand you someone else's map and tell you to follow it. But don't. You follow the pull, that inner voice, that higher call. The one that whispers, this is who you are. Because when you find the right purpose, you don't have to force greatness. You grow into it. You become the kind of person who inspires without trying, who leads without controlling, who creates without craving applause. You become the kind of person who doesn't chase success, because success follows purpose. So here's what I want you to do. Take some quiet time. Ask better questions. Listen carefully to what pulls at your heart, not what shouts from the crowd, because the pull is gentle. It doesn't shove. It doesn't scream. But once you feel it, once you listen, it's powerful enough to change your life. Remember this, you don't need a bigger push. You need a clearer pull. Find it and let it carry you forward. Because when the pull is right, the journey becomes a joy. Purpose turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. Let me tell you something simple and yet profound. Purpose doesn't always change what you do, but it will always change how you do it. You see, most people are waiting for extraordinary opportunities. But here's what I've learned. You don't need an extraordinary job to live an extraordinary life. What you need is an extraordinary reason. Because once you bring purpose into the picture, everything changes. I've seen waiters serve food like they were serving royalty. I've watched janitors clean schools like they were preparing a stage for greatness. I've met teachers who didn't just teach the curriculum. They ignited minds. The difference? Purpose. Purpose gives dignity to work. It turns a job into a calling. It turns labor into love. It turns chores into contributions. Now let me share something personal. When I was a young man working as a stock clerk, I didn't love the job, but one day I decided if I was going to be there, I was going to be excellent. I'd stack every shelf as if the CEO was walking by. I'd show up 5 minutes early, stay 5 minutes late. Why? Because I decided to bring purpose to my work. That one decision changed my entire life. I became the kind of person who got noticed. Not for what I was doing, but for how I was doing it. It wasn't about stocking shelves. It was about becoming someone I could be proud of. When you apply purpose to the ordinary, you start producing the extraordinary. That's the secret. That's the difference maker. You don't wait for the perfect opportunity. You take your current opportunity and fill it with meaning. Let me give you an example. There's a story of a man who sold insurance. Not exactly glamorous, right? But he saw it differently. He said, "I don't sell policies. I provide peace of mind. I protect families. I help people sleep better at night." Now that is extraordinary, not because of the product, but because of the purpose behind it. You see, if you're waiting for purpose to show up wrapped in a big title or a fancy paycheck, you might be waiting a long time. Instead, try this. Take what's in your hands. Take what's in front of you. And ask yourself, how can I make this meaningful? How can I serve through this? That's how you turn the ordinary into something worth remembering. And I'll tell you this, when you work with purpose, people notice. They feel the difference. They see the glow in your eyes, the strength in your posture, the pride in your work, because purpose gives you an edge. And that edge creates excellence. Now here's what often happens. People say, "Jim, I'll work harder when I get a better job. I'll be passionate when I find the right path. I'll be extraordinary when life gives me something bigger." No, you've got it backwards. Be extraordinary now, and life will give you more to work with. You bring purpose to the little things. You bring heart to the daily grind. And before you know it, opportunities begin to open up. That's how life works. You don't level up when you get more. You level up when you become more. So let me give you a challenge today. Whatever you're doing, whether it's leading a company, or folding laundry, driving a bus, or running a business, serving coffee, or serving your community, do it with purpose. Do it with excellence. Do it like it matters, because it does. You never know who you're inspiring. You never know what opportunity is watching. And you never know when the extraordinary will show up, right in the middle of your ordinary. All because you showed up with purpose. Remember, it's not what you do, it's why you do it, and how you do it. Purpose turns routine into passion, tasks into triumphs, ordinary moments into defining ones. So the next time someone asks what you do, don't just give them your title. Tell them what you stand for. Tell them what you believe in. Tell them what lights you up, and then live it. Because with purpose, even the smallest day can become something extraordinary. Clarify your why. The questions that lead to purpose. Let me begin with this. Clarity is power. And when it comes to your purpose, the clearer you are about your why, the stronger your how will be. Now I meet people all the time who say, "Jim, I want to be successful. Jim, I want to be rich. Jim, I want to make an impact." That's great. But then I ask why. Why do you want it? And that's when the silence shows up. You see, a vague purpose leads to a vague life. A blurred vision leads to scattered effort. And scattered effort, well, it leads to average outcomes. But when you clarify your why, something powerful happens. Your steps become aligned. Your focus becomes sharper. Your passion becomes sustainable. Because when the purpose is clear, distractions lose their power. So how do we clarify the why? Let me share a few questions that can help. Question 1. What would you do if failure wasn't fatal? Most people aren't held back by reality. They're held back by fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of not being enough. But ask yourself, if there were no one to impress, no risk of embarrassment, and no fear of falling short, what would you really go after? That's a window into your deeper purpose. Question 2. What makes you cry? What makes you angry? What makes you come alive? Emotion is a compass. When something stirs your heart, that's not just random. That's data. Maybe injustice bothers you. Maybe neglected children stir you. Maybe inefficiency frustrates you. Or maybe creativity excites you. Pay attention. What moves you is trying to guide you. Question 3. Who do you want to serve? Here's a key to discovering purpose. Purpose is rarely about you. It usually involves others. Helping, lifting, serving, guiding. So ask, who do you want to impact? What group of people do you feel drawn to? What problem do they face that you feel called to solve? Your who reveals your why. Question 4. What do you want to be remembered for? Let's zoom out a little. Picture yourself at the end of your life. Looking back, what story would you be proud to tell? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Do you want them to say he was rich? Or do you want them to say he made others rich? In spirit, in wisdom, in life. Legacy starts with clarity. Clarity about what truly matters and what doesn't. Question 5. What would you keep doing, even if no one clapped? Purpose that's real doesn't depend on praise. It's something you must do, even if the audience is gone. Would you still write? Would you still teach? Would you still build? Would you still create? The answer to that question reveals the work that feeds your soul, not just your schedule. Now, you don't have to answer all of these in a day, but start somewhere. Sit down with a notebook. Ask, reflect, listen. Don't rush the process, because the clearer your why, the stronger your foundation. When life throws curveballs, and it will, clarity keeps you grounded. When opportunity knocks, and it will, clarity helps you recognize it. When temptation whispers, and it always does, clarity helps you say no. And here's something else I've learned. The right why will outlast every how. If you don't know your why, the moment things get hard, you'll quit. But when you do know your why, you'll dig deeper, stand taller, and fight smarter. That's the power of clarity. Let me leave you with this. Don't just live by default, live by design. Don't just do what everyone else is doing, do what you were meant to do. Ask the hard questions now, so you can live a life with fewer regrets later. Because once you clarify your why, you'll finally understand your what. You'll be unstoppable in your how, and you'll be fulfilled in your who. That, my friend, is the beginning of a life on purpose. Purpose makes you resilient. It gets you through the storm. Let me tell you something about life, my friend. It's not a matter of if the storm comes. It's a matter of when. Life will throw curveballs. There will be setbacks, delays, rejection. You'll face days when it feels like everything is falling apart. And in those moments, talent won't save you. Connections won't carry you. Luck won't show up. But purpose will. Purpose is the anchor that holds you steady in the wind. Purpose is the fire that keeps burning, even in the rain. Purpose is the reason you keep going when everything around you says quit. Now, when people ask me, Jim, how do you stay disciplined when it gets hard? I don't say motivation. I don't say willpower. I say purpose. Because purpose does what motivation can't. It endures. Motivation comes and goes. Some mornings you wake up inspired. Some mornings you don't. But when you've got a strong why, you show up anyway. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met a single mother raising 3 kids on her own, working 2 jobs, barely sleeping, but she was full of life. Focused, determined, joyful. I asked her, how do you do it? She said, Jim, it's not about me. I'm building a better life for my children. I don't have the luxury to quit. Now that is purpose. And that kind of purpose, it creates resilience. You see, people with a powerful why don't break. They bend, sure, but they don't break. They fall down, but they get back up, because the reason they started is stronger than the reason to stop. Here's the truth. Purpose doesn't take away the pain. It gives the pain meaning. Without purpose, the pain feels pointless. But with purpose, every scar becomes part of the story. Every struggle becomes fuel. Every delay becomes preparation. Every hardship becomes proof that you're being forged for something greater. Now listen closely. If you're going through a storm right now, don't just ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? What kind of person is this building me into? Because purpose doesn't just help you survive the storm. It helps you grow through it. Let me give you another example. Do you remember the story of Viktor Frankl? He was a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. He said something powerful. Those who have a whys to live can bear almost anyhow. That's not theory. That's experience. He lost everything. Family, freedom, future, but he held on to his purpose, to find meaning in suffering and to help others do the same. He survived because his why was stronger than his what. That lesson still echoes today. So let me ask you, what's your storm? Is it a health battle, a broken dream, a career setback, a financial struggle? Whatever it is, your purpose is your greatest weapon. Because purpose lifts your head when life weighs you down. It restores your confidence when fear creeps in. It reminds you you're not done yet. Now here's the challenge. Most people don't prepare their purpose until they're already in the storm. Don't wait. Build your why now. Get it strong now. So when the clouds roll in, you're not scrambling for strength. You're ready. Here's how to build resilience through purpose. Write down your why. Post it where you can see it daily. Remind yourself what you're fighting for. Talk to your future self. Ask, what would my future self thank me for doing today? Even if today's hard, shift your language. Stop saying I have to. Start saying I get to. Purpose turns burdens into privileges. Keep your eyes on the mission, not just the moment. Don't judge your life by today's weather. Judge it by your direction. Let me close with this. The storms of life are not sent to destroy you. They're sent to define you. And when you have a purpose, even the roughest road can become a path to greatness. So don't curse the wind. Learn to sail. Don't avoid the storm. Rise above it. Because the difference between those who quit and those who conquer is not talent, not education, not circumstances. It's purpose. The ones who conquer, they're pulled forward by something deeper, something stronger than comfort, something stronger than fear, something called why. And once you find that, you become unshakable. Purpose and discipline, the dream team. Let me tell you something I've learned in my journey, and I want you to hear this clearly. Purpose gets you started, but discipline gets you there. It takes both. One without the other is like a car with a full tank of gas but no wheels, or a car with brand new tires but an empty tank. You need the fuel and the function. That's why purpose and discipline are the dream team. Now, most people love the idea of purpose. It feels good. It inspires. It gets the heart pumping. But purpose by itself is not enough. Because once the music stops, once the high wears off, once Monday morning hits, that's when discipline takes over. Purpose is the reason. Discipline is the ritual. Let's break it down. When you know your purpose, you've got direction. But without discipline, you have no traction. You'll find yourself dreaming, but never doing. Planning, but never producing. Starting, but never finishing. And I've seen this play out in hundreds of lives. Talented people, passionate people. They've got the dream, but they don't have the discipline. They've got a journal full of goals, but no habits to match. They speak the language of ambition, but live the reality of procrastination. Why? Because they haven't married their purpose to daily discipline. Now let me tell you what happens when you do combine the two. You wake up with a reason and follow it with a routine. You don't just talk about the vision, you train for it. You don't just wait for inspiration, you create momentum. Discipline is doing what you said you'd do, even after the mood you said it in has left. That's when you become unstoppable. Because most people are chasing feelings, but successful people build foundations. They're not chasing hype. They're cultivating habits. They know discipline keeps you moving when motivation goes missing. Let me give you a real example. I knew a young man who wanted to be a public speaker, had a great voice, great story, big dreams, but he never practiced, never read, never trained, never showed up early, or stayed late. He had purpose, but no discipline. He had potential, but no plan. Now contrast that with another man I met. Didn't have much natural talent, nervous in front of crowds, struggled at first. But every morning read a chapter. Every afternoon, practiced speaking. Every evening, reviewed the day. Fast forward a few years, and that second man, he was standing on the biggest stages. Why? Because discipline will take you farther than talent ever will. Now here's the good news. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's a practice skill. You don't need to be born with it. You build it. Start small. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Stick to one simple morning routine. Write 1 page a day. Make one good decision, and then another. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. That's not just theory. That's how I turned my own life around. I didn't need to do everything all at once. I just needed to do the right things, consistently. So how do you make discipline stick? Let me give you a few quick tips. Tie every discipline to your purpose. Don't just wake up early. Wake up for a reason. Don't just exercise. Train for the life you want to live. Track your progress. What gets measured gets improved, and what gets celebrated gets repeated. Create non-negotiables. Treat your disciplines like appointments with your future, and don't break appointments with your future. Review and reset. At the end of the week, ask, did my actions match my purpose? If not, don't get discouraged. Get focused. Let me wrap this up by saying, when you unite purpose with discipline, you become a force. Purpose shows you where to go. Discipline gets you there, and together, they make sure you arrive on time and in full strength. So today, ask yourself, what do I really want, and what must I consistently do to become the person who deserves it. That's your next move. That's your path forward. Because with purpose in your heart and discipline in your hands, there's no limit to what you can build. That's the dream team. Now go use it. Purpose fuels passion, not the other way around. Let me tell you something that surprises most people. Passion doesn't create purpose. Purpose creates passion. That's right. Now we live in a time where everyone says, follow your passion. But I say, be careful. Passion is a byproduct, not a beginning. You don't start with passion. You start with purpose. You start with a reason, a mission, a cause. And when that purpose is clear, strong, and rooted deep, the passion shows up to match it. Passion, my friend, is like heat. But purpose is the firewood. You can't have one without the other. Not for long. Now listen, passion feels good. It's exciting. It's emotional. It's electric. But it doesn't last on its own. I've seen it too many times. People get fired up for a week, a month, maybe even a year. They start a new business. They chase a new dream. But the minute things get hard, they fizzle out. Why? Because their passion wasn't tied to something bigger. They had energy, but no anchor. And without an anchor, your passion just floats around looking for comfort. But when passion is tied to purpose, it turns into power. Let me give you an example. I once met a young woman who wanted to be a writer. She loved the idea of it, the romance of it, the feeling of being inspired, but she only wrote when she felt like it. Weeks would go by, months, no consistency, no growth. Then one day, she visited a children's hospital. She met kids who had no books, no stories that reflected their lives. That day, everything changed. She didn't just want to write anymore. She wanted to make a difference. She found a purpose, and suddenly, the passion came back stronger than ever. Now she writes every day, not just for herself, but for those who need her words. That's the difference. When you serve something greater, you feel something deeper. You see, passion that isn't rooted in purpose, it burns fast, then burns out. It's like lighting a match in the wind. It flares up, but it doesn't last. But purpose is the foundation. And when passion sits on that foundation, it becomes resilient. It keeps showing up, even when the weather changes. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. That's what separates excitement from excellence. That's what separates starters from finishers. Now let me be practical. How do you make sure your passion is fueled by purpose? 1. Ask yourself, who benefits when I show up with passion? If the only answer is you, your passion won't last. But if your answer includes others, your family, your clients, your community, now we're talking. 2. Reconnect your passion to service. Don't just chase the feeling, chase the impact. Ask, how does my work make someone's life better? 3. Let purpose guide your discipline, and passion will catch up. Some days you won't feel excited, but if your purpose is strong, your action stays strong, and eventually, your passion returns. I've had mornings where I didn't feel like teaching, writing, or speaking. But once I remembered who I was doing it for, and why it mattered, the passion came roaring back. Because I wasn't chasing a mood, I was chasing meaning. And here's the irony. When you stop chasing passion and start living with purpose, that's when passion finds you. You wake up with more energy. You show up with more confidence. You speak with more conviction. Not because you're in the mood, but because you're in alignment. Let me close with this. Passion is a spark, but purpose is the engine. You need both, but they come in order. Don't wait to feel it. Act on your purpose, and the feeling will follow. Because when you live with clarity, when you serve with intention, when you give your best to something that matters, passion isn't a problem anymore. It becomes your reward. So today, stop trying to get fired up. Instead, get focused, get centered, get back to your why, and then watch your passion rise. Not from hype, but from honor. That's the real fire, and it never goes out. Share the purpose. Inspire others by living yours. There's a beautiful truth about purpose that most people overlook. The moment you start living your purpose, you start lighting the way for someone else. You see, purpose isn't just personal, it's contagious. When you live with clarity, when you act with conviction, when you speak with sincerity, people notice. They may not say anything right away. They may not clap, but they see you, and they're moved by your example. Now, you don't have to be loud to lead. You don't need a spotlight to make an impact. You just need to live authentically. Live on purpose, because when you do, your life becomes a message. And let me tell you something. There are people right now watching how you carry yourself, not because they're judging you, but because they're learning from you. They're asking silently, is it possible to live with integrity? Is it still worth it to work hard? Can someone actually love what they do? When you walk in purpose, you answer those questions with your life. Now let's get one thing straight. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. I've made my share of mistakes. You will too. But when your direction is clear, even your detours can inspire. When people see you stumble and get back up with grace, when they see you handle disappointment and still speak with hope, when they watch you work with consistency, even when no one's cheering, that's when they start to believe, not just in you, but in themselves. Because the real influence isn't in your words, it's in your walk. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I mentored a young man who never said much in our meetings, quiet, attentive, always listening. One day he said, "Jim, you probably don't know this, but I've been watching how you treat people, how you show up, how you live your message. That's what made me believe I could do it too." That moment taught me something profound. You don't always inspire with speeches. Sometimes you inspire with stability, with how you keep showing up, with how you hold your ground, with how you keep building when others are breaking. So here's my encouragement to you. Live your purpose openly, not to impress, but to impart. Not to prove anything, but to plant seeds. Because you never know who needs your example to believe in their own. Now, how do you share your purpose? You don't need a stage. You don't need a podcast. You don't even need a platform. All you need is intention. 1. Let your work reflect your values. Whatever you do it with care, with heart, with excellence. Let people feel your purpose through your effort. 2. Have meaningful conversations. Ask people what drives them. Share what drives you. That kind of dialogue awakens people. 3. Serve others without a scoreboard. True purpose isn't loud. It's generous. It gives freely. It serves silently. It loves fully. And here's what I've found. When you give purpose away, you don't lose it. You multiply it. Now let me give you one more reason to share your purpose. It keeps you sharp. When you start inspiring others, it holds you accountable. You can't preach consistency and live in chaos. You can't talk about growth and stay stuck. You can't say pursue your dreams while hiding from your own. When you lead by example, your life rises to match your message. So live it boldly, live it quietly, live it publicly, live it privately. But whatever you do, live it, because every time you act with purpose, every time you align your life with something bigger than yourself, every time you show someone what's possible, you don't just change your world, you help someone else believe they can change theirs. So here's your challenge. Don't just find your purpose. Share it. Live it with passion. Serve with joy. And let your life echo long after the words are gone. Because when you share the purpose, you multiply the impact. And in the end, that's the true legacy. Review, refocus, reignite, keep your purpose sharp. Here's something I've learned over the years, and it's worth remembering. Even the sharpest blade will grow dull if you don't take time to sharpen it. And the same is true with purpose. You can have the clearest mission, the deepest why, and the strongest start. But life has a way of wearing you down. Distractions pile up. Responsibilities multiply. And before you know it, that fire you once had, it turns to flicker. That's why today's message is simple but vital. If you want your purpose to stay powerful, you've got to review it, refocus it, and reignite it regularly. Don't assume your purpose will stay sharp on autopilot. It won't. Clarity fades. Motivation fades. And if you don't revisit your reason, you risk drifting off course. Let's start with the first step. Review. Take time to stop and look back. Ask yourself, am I still headed in the right direction? You'd be surprised how easy it is to get busy without staying purposeful. We confuse movement with progress. We check boxes, complete tasks, attend meetings, and still feel empty. That's your signal to pause. I recommend a weekly or monthly review. Nothing fancy, just a few honest questions. Am I still aligned with my core purpose? Have I taken on things that pull me away from it? What did I do this week that truly mattered? What did I do this week that felt hollow? The goal is not to judge, it's to realign. Step 2 is refocus. After you've reviewed where you are, it's time to bring things back into focus. Now here's the tricky part. Purpose doesn't always change, but your expression of it might. Maybe the way you serve evolves. Maybe the season of life you're in shifts. Maybe new opportunities show up, and now you have to say no to good things, so you can say yes to right things. That's the essence of focus, saying no with clarity and confidence. You don't need more hours. You need fewer distractions. When you refocus, ask, what must I let go of to protect my purpose? What should I say yes to even if it's scary? What's draining my energy without feeding my mission? Every time you refocus, you reclaim power. You stop leaking energy on things that don't matter. You give your best self to what does. And now the final step, reignite. This is the fun part, the refreshing part, the soul-fueling part. Because let's face it, even the most passionate person gets tired. Even the most disciplined soul needs a recharge. So how do you reignite that inner fire? Start with gratitude. Remind yourself how far you've come and why you started. Look back at old journal entries, past challenges you've overcome. Reconnect with the people you've helped, the lives you've touched. That will fan the flames. Then feed yourself. Listen to a good message. Read a great book. Get around people who stretch your vision, not shrink it. Because fire spreads and passion is contagious. Reigniting your purpose isn't just about remembering what you do. It's about remembering who you are. You're not just building a career. You're building a life. You're not just getting by. You're becoming someone. And that's worth fueling every single day. So let me ask you, when was the last time you reviewed your purpose? When was the last time you stopped to refocus your direction? When was the last time you reignited your heart? If it's been a while, don't wait another week. Start today. Start now. Purpose is too valuable to let it fade, too powerful to let it drift. Take time to sharpen it. Take time to renew it. Take time to protect it. Because when your purpose is sharp, your life cuts through the noise. You move with clarity. You lead with certainty. You speak with conviction. And best of all, you live with peace. Let me close with this. A life on purpose isn't found once. It's forged daily. So review, refocus, reignite, and watch your purpose grow brighter, stronger, and more contagious than ever. Live with purpose, die with peace. If you've followed me this far, you've heard me say it again and again. Purpose is powerful. It shapes your life. It directs your choices. It defines your legacy. But here at the final chapter, I want to go even deeper. Because the ultimate test of purpose is not how loudly you live. It's how peacefully you leave. Let me say that again. The true measure of a life well lived is whether you can leave this world in peace, knowing you gave it your all, loved with your heart, served with your gifts, and stayed true to your calling. That's what purpose gives you. Not just success, but serenity. Not just achievement, but alignment. When you live your days on purpose, you end your days with peace. Not regret, not shame, not what if, but peace. Now let me be clear. Living with purpose doesn't mean life will be perfect. It doesn't mean you'll always get it right, but it does mean that every day becomes intentional. Every action has meaning. Every moment has value. And when you add enough of those days together, you build something remarkable. You build a life that speaks louder than any speech. You build a legacy that lingers long after you're gone. Because people won't remember how many things you did. They'll remember how well you did the things that mattered. I once asked an old mentor of mine, wise man, nearing the end of his journey, I said, what's the secret to dying without regret? He paused, then smiled. And he said, make peace with the mirror while you still have time. That stuck with me. Because you don't find peace at the end of life. You build it through the way you live, every day. When you're kind to others, when you tell the truth, when you show up for your family, when you stand for something greater than yourself, that's when you sleep well. That's when you smile at the mirror. That's when you look back without flinching. So how do you live a life that leads to peace? Let me give you a few guiding principles, Jim Rohn style. 1. Keep your promises, especially to yourself. When you say you'll do something, follow through. Every time you honor your word, you build self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of peace. 2. Be where your feet are. Don't live in the past. Don't obsess over the future. Be present. Be engaged. Purpose lives in the now, not the someday. 3. Contribute more than you consume. Make it a goal to leave people better than you found them. Add value. Give generously. Serve faithfully. Because peace grows in the soil of service. 4. Live aligned. Not just busy. It's not how full your calendar is. It's how true your heart is. Don't just do more. Do what matters. The right actions create quiet confidence. And finally, 5. Stay grateful, no matter what. Gratitude doesn't always change your circumstances, but it always changes you. And a grateful heart is a peaceful heart. Now let me speak to the deeper part of you. There's a version of you, wise, fulfilled, peaceful, waiting to emerge. And that version is built day by day, decision by decision, aligned with purpose. So here's the question. If your life ended today, would it end in peace or panic? That's not a morbid thought. It's a powerful one, because the truth is, we all get one life, one shot, one opportunity to build something meaningful. And when the end comes, and it will, the peace you feel will come from knowing this. You didn't just drift, you decided. You didn't just react, you responded. You didn't just exist, you lived with purpose. Let me close with this final thought. Purpose is not about perfection, it's about direction. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about becoming better than you were yesterday. And when you live with that kind of intention, you create a life that speaks, a life that teaches, a life that inspires. So live boldly, live truthfully, live purposefully. And when it's time to go, let the world say, now that was a life well lived. Purpose is the real wealth. Now that we've come to the end of this journey together, let me remind you of something simple, but life-changing. Purpose is the real wealth. Not dollars in the bank, not gold in the vault, not trophies on the shelf. Those things are fine, but they're temporary. Here today, gone tomorrow. But purpose pays dividends for a lifetime. It gives meaning to your work. It brings joy to your relationships. It adds dignity to your struggles. And it gives peace to your final days. That's wealth. You see, I've met people who had all the material success you could imagine, but inside they were bankrupt. They had money, but no mission. They had lifestyle, but no life. Because without purpose, even success feels hollow. On the other hand, I've met people who had little in the way of possessions, but they had fire in their eyes. They had clarity in their steps. They had peace in their hearts. Why? Because they knew their why. They knew who they were. They knew what they were doing, and why it mattered. And when you know why it matters, everything matters. So what do you do with everything we've talked about? You review your life, you refocus your energy, and you reignite your fire. You take the tools, you take the questions, and you build your own purpose-driven path, step by step. You wake up each morning, not asking, what do I have to do today? But instead, what can I do today that aligns with who I'm becoming? Because purpose is not a destination, it's a direction. You don't arrive at it once, you walk with it daily. And the more you walk with purpose, the more your life begins to speak for itself. Let me leave you with a simple formula. Purpose gives you power. Power gives you confidence. Confidence gives you peace. And peace is the ultimate wealth. So build your purpose, sharpen it, share it, live it. And when you do, you won't need to chase happiness, or success, or recognition. Those things will find you. Because people are drawn to clarity. They're drawn to conviction. They're drawn to those who know where they're going. And why. So today, I challenge you, don't just seek to earn more. Seek to matter more. Don't just chase a lifestyle. Live a life that counts. Don't just work hard. Work with meaning. Because in the end, the most valuable thing you'll ever own is a purpose-filled life. And that, my friend, is the real wealth.